Karen? Sheriff Lombardo won't be able to be with us today. Greg will lead our meeting for us.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Hello, John.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good. Good to see you.
Yeah, same here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, everybody. It is 10 o'clock. Dave or Karen, can we get started? Do we have a quorum?
Good morning, sir. Yes, I do believe we have a quorum.
Okay, Chief Deputy Greg Herrera for the record. Sheriff Lombardo could not make it this morning, so I'm going to be filling in for him. So I see a lot of familiar faces this morning. Appreciate everybody making it, and I trust that as I muddle through this, if I miss anything, that Dave and Karen and Sam, you guys will pick me up, help me out this morning. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And Karen, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Joseph Lombardo. Greg Herrera.
Present.
Michael Brown.
Present.
Christopher Lake. Carolyn Levering. Aaron Lynch,
Present.
Dan Smith,
Present.
David Fogerson,
Present.
and Samantha Laddick.
Here.
Vice Chair, you do have quorum.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it, Karen. With that, I'm going to move on to item number 2, public comment. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included in the agenda as an item which action may be taken. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the chair. Comments will not be restricted based upon viewpoint. That, Karen, I'll turn it over to you for public comment if there is any.
Sir, we have not received any public comment in written form. I don't know if anyone's on the line that has public comment.
Is there anybody on the line that has public comment? Okay, hearing none, I will close that item and move on to item number 3, approval of minutes. Hope everybody's had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting. With that, if I could get a motion to approve, please.
This is Brown. Motion to approve.
Okay, motion approved from Mike Brown. Can I get a second, please?
Second from Stan Smith.
And a second from Stan Smith. I'll approve. Can I get an aye?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, hearing none. Approve the motion of those minutes. Moving on to item number 4, request to reallocate Homeland Security Grant Program funds. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Dave Fogerson. It's all yours.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Dave Fogerson, Nevada's Emergency Manager, Homeland Security Chief for the record. Today, we come to you with 2 possible reallocations from some deobligated funds from the Urban Area Security Working Group from the Urban Area Security Initiative. Both are from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. One of them is NCHS-167 from their Fusion Center Uazi Sustained Project to remove $200,558.87 in unused funds from strip camera maintenance and cancel conferences for the crime analyst and move it over to pay for the CopLink renewal this year. And then the second item that they're requesting for moving the funds around are for NCHS-168 from the Fusion Center as well, moving from the Russell Corridor Camera Project. They want to move $65,052.91 from miscellaneous supplies to network and wireless equipment. Staff's reviewed both of these requests and do not have an issue with them. So we'd be looking for approval and movement from the Finance Committee that we can take this to the Homeland Security Commission for final approval.
Okay, thank you for that, Dave. Appreciate it. I'd ask the rest of the board if there are any questions before moving forward. Okay, hearing none. David, I'd ask you, would we vote on that now or would we vote on that later on a different item?
No, we go ahead and vote for that now. If someone could make a motion to approve, where is the potential motion to approve the project change requests and to forward it to the Homeland Security Commission.
All right, anybody that's want to make a motion, please.
Stan Smith for the record, approve NCHS-167 and 168.
Thanks, Stan. Do I have a second?
Carolyn Levering, I'll second that.
Thank you, Carolyn. With that, ask if everybody approves, say aye, please. Aye.
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 And any nays? Hearing none, motion's been approved. Thank you. With that, I'll move on to number 5, review and update on the federal fiscal year 2021 Homeland Security Grant program process and allocations. With that, I'll turn it over to, again, Dave Fogerson and Deputy Chief Billy Samuels.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Dave Fogerson, for the record. Billy Samuels is on the line as well. We're going to tag team this effort and talk about the state Homeland Security process and then the process used at the urban area working group. So where he has some good visibility on how we've done both of those. Obviously, everyone remembers from our last meeting and our prior meetings, the discussions we've had with our federal government partners. Originally, they were going to make the UASI competitive against each other, and we were fortunate enough to not make the UASIs competitive against each other. Chief Samuels and I were on a listing point call the other day with Department of Homeland Security, trying to make sure that that stays that way for the future. But it is something we should remember. The state for the Homeland Security Grant Program got $4.6 million, and the UASI got $5.25 million. Some of that money did have to get spent in special areas. Cybersecurity, we need to spend 7.5% of those funds. Soft targets, crowded places, 5%. Intelligence and information sharing, 5%. Counter domestic violent extremism, 7.5%. And emerging threats were 5%. So of all those dollar amounts, those projects had to combine into those percentages to go. And Chief Samuels and I did give some comment to the DHS on maybe adjusting how they do those in the future, those percentages. But for this year, that is the process we used. So the Division of Emergency Management created the application with all the federal questions from not only the notice of funding opportunity from the grant process, but then also looking at the BISR document that they're going to ask for additional details later in the future. Once those applications were put in, staff reviewed them and commented on them. Because of the compressed time frame that we do have, the applicants received back their applications with a staff review. And then on the state level, we went to the Nevada Resilience Advisory Committee, where anybody with a existing project had to describe it in 3 minutes or less. Anybody with a new project or wishing for additional funds for a new project, for a current project, had 5 minutes to declare what they needed and why they needed it. And then through the public process, we used the Nevada Resilience Advisory Committee to rank all of those state Homeland Security grant process applications. We were able to recommend to you from NRAC all but one of those, and we'll talk about that next agenda item. And then those applications were returned back to the applicant so they could update any potential changes that were recommended from either staff or from the NRAC meeting. And then we bring the process here for the Homeland Security Finance Committee to review what NRAC has done. And I believe the NRAC meeting, we went about 5 hours that day and had a pretty good discussion on all the projects. It went pretty smoothly, but was still a long period of time to sit and look at those projects and to talk through them. And then if this committee is good with them, then we take them to the Homeland Security Commission for a recommendation. And then from there, the governor provides me the direction to go ahead and submit those applications to the state or to the federal government. And I'll let Chief Samuels is on the line if he can talk about how we did it in the urban area working group. So that way we can be clear on how we did stuff.
Good morning. Thanks, Chief and Vice Chair Billy Samuels, for the record. We followed the same process that the state did as well. Went over the same 5 national criteria areas that is listed from the federal side that Chief Ferguson just spoke of. And we broke it down into the maintain and competitive on the projects. And like Chief Ferguson said, we have one project that did not fall in line. We can talk about that under agenda item number 6. But we did follow the exact same process of the ranking system with maintain versus new competitive. And so there was no really confusion on how we were going to do it. That's all I have, Chair or Vice Chair and Chief.
Okay, thank you for that. I know we're going to have discussion under number 6 about some of the specifics before we vote, but I just want to say right at the bat, Dave and Deputy Chief Samuels, that I appreciate the process this year. I was briefed as it occurred, and some of our folks that were involved, namely Lieutenant Solferino and Noel Boyer, had nothing but praises to say how smoothly it went and the cooperation. So under the challenges and circumstances, great job. Thank you very much. And then I'd like to ask the rest of the board if they have any comments or questions, any discussion during this item. Hearing none, I had, I guess, one quick question, David, I'd like to ask. I missed the point to how much was allocated, or how much was allocated for cybersecurity. I missed that part.
Vice Chair Dave Fogerson, for the record, it was 7.5% of the overall investment justification had to be for cybersecurity.
Okay, and again, I recall last year, during last year's meeting, Chair Lombardo made a comment about the importance of, and specifically related to cybersecurity regarding kind of the lack of mission statement, statewide cohesive mission statement. Has that been resolved, or do we still need to get there in some fashion?
Vice Chair Dave Fogerson, I think we've gotten better than we were last year, but we need to probably work more collaboratively with that. The state does have a cybersecurity administrator now, and then we also have a chief information officer for the state. And we are having a meeting on Thursday, and it'll be one that I'll bring that up to them to have a discussion with them about how we involve, because I know the Washington County Sheriff's Office, you guys have some cyber stuff going on there. I know that Metro's got some cyber stuff there. How do we tie those components better together? Because I think what we need to look at is a statewide strategy of making them more cohesive and more talking, just like we do at the Fusion Center with the Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center and INTAC, and tying them in together well. I think we need to do the same thing on our cyber sides, would be my recommendation.
And I would agree with that. I think based upon what Sheriff Lombardo said last year as well, I think he would be on board with that as well. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's my recollection of what his thoughts were as well. Okay, any other discussion for item number 5? Hearing none, I will move on to item number 6, review of federal fiscal year 2021 Homeland Security Grant Program, State Homeland Security Program, and the UASC Urban Area Security Initiative proposal with the intent to formulate a recommendation to Nevada Commission on Homeland Security. And that, Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you. You said you had some things to discuss during this portion as well. And then we can.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I'm going to kind of do the same tag team with Chief Samuels that we did on the last one. I'll talk about the state Homeland Security, and I'll let Chief Samuels talk about the UASI, so that way we make sure we have some clarity between those two items. For the Homeland Security grant funds, obviously these are things that also include items within the UASI area within Clark County, but have a statewide nexus to them. So it's not just items in the rural counties in Washoe, it's items that have a statewide tie. So we do fund some projects within Clark County that do have a statewide tie. We had a little over $4 million to distribute this year. And as you mentioned from your staff, Washington County Sheriff's Office is probably the biggest ones to give and take a little bit on their different projects. We're able to whittle it down to fund all the projects, but one project went unfunded, and that was from the Nevada Department of Public Safety. And I've talked with our training division commander that is responsible for that program, and he is understanding, very appreciative of the cut and not upset at it. One of the items I do want to do in the future is start looking at, when we have deobligated funds, we go back to what we weren't able to fund that was put in the time, and make those kind of a priority item to look at, since those people put some money, put some time in that process. So a lot of give and take there. Only one project was unfunded. When you look at your package, you have all the projects that are in there, and you have a Excel spreadsheet format that shows what every project costs. And if you look at it, we are spending $3.3 million on maintaining our strategic capacities, and we allocated $1 million, just a little over $1 million, for enhanced projects and new projects. And I think that speaks well to the process that Chief Steinbeck and Caleb Cade started with those strategic capacities being maintained, because there's certain items that to maintain our Homeland Security, we must maintain. But then allowing some of those new projects to either expand or to come into that process through the enhancements or new projects as we emerge and we change our focus as life expands and continues on for all of us to make sure we can allocate those items. Nevada Resilience Advisory Committee did vote on all these and made a recommendation to this committee to approve the worksheet for everything above the red line in your packet on page 23. So the only project they're recommending we don't fund, and it's simply out of a lack of funding, is the Department of Public Safety Training Division request for some active shooter scenarios equipment. And Chief Samuels, if you can talk about the UAG project.
Yes, sir. Billy Samuels for the record. We, again, followed the same format. We had one project that did not fund, and that was from Clark County Information Technology. It was for the cybersecurity upgrades. That did not affect us meeting the maintain of the 5 national priority areas. So we were still able to meet that with a couple other projects. The funding for us, when you do the simple math, you're going to look and see that it looks like we were overfunded, but we had $326,483 in deobligated funds that we were able to put forth towards those other projects. Our maintained projects were $1,747,193, and then our new enhanced competitive ones were $3,566,790. So again, everything above the red line funded except for that one Clark County IT cybersecurity, and it was a big project. I think anytime you look at the cybersecurity, those are big projects coming in. It's hard to decipher which little ones you're going to do. So all in all, it was a good process. Like Chief Ferguson said, it's a 5-hour process for those committee members to be there. So we appreciate their time and effort. And that's our recommendations from the UAG on our side. And that's all I have, Vice Chair.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Vice Chair Dave Fogerson, if I can add one more piece.
Yes, please.
We did have some good conversation about how we consolidate some of these projects maybe together in the future, such as Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center and Nevada Threat Assessment Center. Both had money for See Something, Say Something campaigns. So how we can consolidate those items moving forward in the future to make the process that way we have common messaging for that, but each agency isn't having to pay for it out of their grant request, how we can do those processes together. And I volunteered to let our DEM, because DEM also has some money set aside for that, our DEM PIO work on those projects. And then some emerging communication issues, trying to get those items through. So that way we're working collaboratively together. And that's I think the bonus we have in the state of Nevada is just relationships we all maintain with one another. Everyone knows each other. Everyone's very willing to work together. And I think that's what makes this process work so well.
Thank you. I just had just a quick question on the project that didn't get funded. The projects, I know from the one down south that it didn't meet the criteria. Is that the same with the DPS training project, or why was that? Why did that fall outside of the realm of recommendation?
Vice Chair Dave Fullerson, that one fell out of the recommendation simply because we're out of money. At that point, that was the one that could not be funded. Multiple agencies took price cuts or requested less funding than what was originally requested for their projects in order to get everything but that one funded. And their items, the DPS active shooter training project, had some over and above items. Even when I talked to the lieutenant over that program, he thought it might have been a little bigger and they could scale it down a little bit. So I think it's something that we can come back with some deobligated funds in the future to help them out for. But at this time, that project just didn't meet the amount of funding we had available and had some room to cut some stuff that the staff on the line weren't able to do for him.
Vice Chair, this is Billy Samuels.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to make sure for the record that it's not that it didn't meet criteria. Again, that was a funding one as well. We still met all of our criteria with all the other projects that we had. So I don't want you, I might have misspoke, but this was a funding issue, not a criteria issue for the Clark County IT.
Understood, and that might have been my error. So based upon funding, okay. Thank you. Anybody else on the board have any questions? All right, hearing none. Does anybody want to take a stab at making a recommendation to vote on this? Right. David, can you help us out? What would be the recommendation to vote on this as is, if everybody's content on that?
I think we could probably wordsmith something to the Homeland Security Committee on Finance Committee on Finance agrees with the recommendations from INRAC and the Urban Area Working Group and suggests these projects be funded in their ranked order to the Homeland Security Commission and the State Administrative Agent.
Right, haven't heard that. Anybody, Mike Brown, everybody, you want to take a stab at it for me?
Brown will make the motion to go with what Chief Ferguson just mentioned as far as making the motion for approval.
Thank you.
This is Aaron Lynch. I second that.
Aaron Lynch, thank you very much. All right, all approved. Can I get an aye, please?
Aye.
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 Aye, I should have said aye as well. Aye, sorry, I was listening. How about any nays? All right, with that, Dave, we got that approved. Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
last item, back to public comment. Again, no action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes based per person at the discretion of the chair. Comments will not be restricted based upon viewpoint. Karen, do we have any public comment?
None noted, sir.
Anybody?
Vice Chair, this is John Steinbeck. I wanted to publicly acknowledge Chiefs Fogerson and Samuels for a job very well done. This is a difficult process outside of a pandemic with all the challenges and the things that they are running. This went very smoothly this year. And I just wanted to thank them for their work and dedication.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. And they had big shoes to fill, and they've done a great job. So thank you.
Vice
Go
Chair Dave Fogerson, that would not be possible without our staff working with us. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge the staff members that actually did all the work for us, and we're just the figureheads that get lucky enough to get blessed with it.
Thank you for that, Dave. And please thank your staff as well. I agree with you. They do a great job year after year. So anybody online, any other additional public comment? Okay, hearing none, I will close public comment. Item number 8, meeting adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved, Carolyn Levering.
Second, Mike Brown.
Okay, with that, I will close the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. I look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Co-Chair, you did a great job today.
Thank you.